That was beautiful, Zach. Thank you. So a few weeks ago, I was walking through my neighborhood when I saw my neighbor Janice working in her front yard. This is just an AI rendering. This isn't actually Janice, by the way. Janice is in her 80s, and she was down on her hands and knees in her straw sun hat, pulling weeds from what looked like the most hopeless patch of dirt you've ever seen. The soil was hard-packed clay, cracked like old pottery. It was the kind of ground you'd pass by without a second thought because nothing good could grow there. I had to ask, Janice, what are you planting there? She looked up at me with the biggest smile and said, tomatoes. Somebody gave me these seeds a while back and I've just been meaning to plant them. Friends, I watched this woman tend to that impossible patch of earth with such tenderness, such hope, such absolute certainty that something beautiful would grow. And it hit me. That's exactly what faith looks like. Not the certainty that everything will turn out perfectly, but the willingness to plant seeds anyway. Whether you find your wisdom in ancient scriptures, in nature, or in the voices of prophets new or old, or even in the quiet stirrings of your own heart, we're all drawn to stories of beginnings, aren't we? About the moment when possibility becomes reality, about the mystery of how life keeps insisting on itself even in the most unlikely of places. Watching Janice kneel in that stubborn earth, I realized that this is the same story that's been told 1,000 ways across time. From our own backyards to the oldest creation myths, something in us is drawn to the mystery of beginnings. And the most important message in all of these stories, whether it includes God, many gods, or no divine beings at all, is this: you have the power to create new beginnings. The most common creation story we hear in our culture is from Genesis. Of course, this is just one of many of the ancient world's attempts to make sense of how we got here and where we're going. And I think it's important to look at it because it tells us something remarkable about how people saw the interplay between the divine and the natural world in beginnings. So let's just take a look at some of the text. What I find fascinating is it says that creation didn't happen to the earth, but with the earth in harmonious cooperation. Listen to this. This is Genesis 1:24. God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures," and it was so. Creation as an invitation, a collaboration between the divine and the tangible earth, a partnership. This story of sacred partnership isn't even unique to the Hebrew tradition. You'll find it in other stories too. In the Yoruba creation story from West Africa, a divine being named Otabala is sent to create land, but that work that he's doing requires collaboration with other divine beings and with the earth itself, and eventually humans as caretakers and co-creators. So we see across cultures, across continents, we find the same beautiful truth. Creation isn't a solo act, but a symphony of cooperation. In these ancient stories, creation doesn't happen to the earth, but with it. And that truth didn't stay trapped in the past. It is alive right now, which is why I think this morning's message is so urgent. You are not just a product of creation. You are a participant in it. And that, I think, changes everything about how we live, how we love, and how we work for justice. And I have some news for you this morning. Some urgent, beautiful news. You're not just watching this cosmic collaboration from the sidelines. You are the collaboration. And I think realizing that will open up whole new possibilities for you today. Now, let's be brutally honest for a moment. How many of us growing up heard a very different message? Messages that we didn't have the agency or ability to affect real change. Sometimes we still hear that. You're too young, you're too old, too broken, too much. Let someone else, someone better, someone more qualified, more worthy do the real work of changing the world. Or perhaps we hear that troubling theology of you don't have to do anything, God will take care of it, right? Just pray harder and wait. Everything happens for a reason, it's all part of a plan. Either way, in these stories, it's not your job to do anything. Anyone else get tired of hearing that? Yeah. Me too. Because I don't know about you, but I spent many years waiting for my permission slip to matter, waiting for someone to tap me on the shoulder and say, congratulations, you've been selected to actually make a difference. And sometimes I think that invitation got lost in the mail. And maybe you've been waiting too. Waiting for the right time, maybe you're waiting to be ready, or waiting for someone to tell you that you are enough. That feeling is exactly why the next part of Genesis hit me so hard. In Genesis 1:26, the text says, "Let us make mankind in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the heavens, the livestock, and over every creeping thing on the earth." Now I have to pause there, because I have to say that word dominion, it has been twisted and abused to justify every kind of exploitation you can imagine, right? It almost makes me uncomfortable saying the word. But what if that actually means something closer to a sacred partnership with the divine? What if in the Hebrew creation narrative, the divine looked at creation and said, you know what this needs? Collaborators, co-conspirators, people who will roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty in the beautiful, messy work of love. That's sacred agency, my friends. Not domination, but participation. Not ruling over, but tending with. Not being the boss of creation, but being creation's most trusted partner. I think what it's really saying is, let there be partners in love. Let there be collaborators in justice. Let there be us, rolling up our sleeves in this great work. You know, something amazing that I witnessed being here in Ventura, getting the tour today, nature's lesson. Step outside after this service and look around, because this sermon is already being preached out there every day by every growing thing, by the earth beneath our feet, by the ocean that's right there that connects all of us. You and me, I'm in Hawaii, we're connected. Nature doesn't wait for perfection to begin its work. Have you ever seen what happens in an abandoned lot? The cracked asphalt, those forgotten spaces behind strip malls. Within months, wildflowers start pushing through the cracks that seem impossibly small. Not because they have permission, not because the conditions are perfect, but because life insists on itself. If the earth can keep insisting on life in the cracks of concrete, what does that say about the cracks in our communities? In places or situations we call hopeless. It says, begin again. It says, tend anyway. This morning I went to see that gorgeous, magnificent Morton Bay fig tree in Plaza Park. I think you know the one. As you know, it's been standing there since 1874, 150 years. Which means it's seen more of Ventura's drama than any of us, and it's still there. It has also weathered droughts that would have killed lesser trees. It survived the compacted soil of countless feet walking over its roots. So many people seeking its shade and solace that experts worried it may not make it. But this ancient giant, it found a way. It adapted, it kept growing. It's as if it's saying, you think 150 years of challenges will stop me? No, I'm just getting started. The earth responds to love, my friends, to care, to the audacious hope that tomorrow can be different from today. And so do we. So do we. And I think that's exactly what's happening in this sacred community. Here in this congregation, you're co-creating something that the world desperately needs. A community that tells a different story, where Black Lives Matter, not just in theory, but in practice, where trans lives are celebrated as sacred, where immigrants are welcomed as neighbors, not strangers, where the hungry are fed because we're the kind of people who feed the hungry. And this sacred help, it isn't charity, beloved ones. It's solidarity. It's standing with our neighbors, not separate from them. That's co-creation. It's saying to the divine, to the universe, to each other, yes. Yes, we will be your partners in the work of love. And friends, it doesn't take perfection. It doesn't even take having your life figured out. Most of us don't, that's the secret. It doesn't even take being ready. It just takes a yes to this divine invitation. One sacred, trembling, imperfect yes. Yes to the phone call you've been putting off. Yes to social invitations you usually say no to. Yes to showing up even when you don't feel like it. Yes to starting small, like with a community garden in your neighborhood, a letter to your representative, or even just 5 minutes of silence where you listen to what life is asking of you next. Because you, beloved child of the universe, you are the earth that can bring forth. You are the hands that can plant seeds in concrete. You are the voice that can say, with all the authority of the divine within you, let there be. Let there be healing where there's been hurt. Let there be justice where there's been oppression. Let there have been love where there's been fear. And let there be hope where there's been despair. Let there be you, exactly as you are, doing exactly what only you can do. You know what I love most about the Genesis creation story? It doesn't end. Genesis 1 doesn't say, and God finished creating and said, okay, I'm done here. No, it says the divine looked at everything that has been made and called it good. Present tense, ongoing, still happening. Friends, it means this story isn't over, and it means that your story isn't over. You, beloveds, yes, you with the tired hands, you who woke up this morning wondering if you matter, you're not powerless. You're not forgotten, not here. You're not too much or too little or too late. You are the continuation of that first creative word. You're the earth bringing forth. You're co-creators of the world that is coming. You say, let it be, and it is so. The question isn't whether you're qualified. The question is, will you say yes? So today, let's practice saying yes together this morning, shall we? I'm going to say, are you ready? And if you're ready, I want you to respond with a resounding yes, okay? All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, more. Are you ready?
Yes.
One more time, church. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I can hear it. So here's my prayer for you this morning as your guest. May we rise to this sacred invitation. May we answer this holy call. May we remember that we're not alone in this work we have with each other. We have the earth beneath our feet, and we have a love that will never, ever let us go. Just like Janice in her front yard, we kneel in the stubborn soil of this world with seeds in hand and hope in heart. We don't know if the rain will come. We don't know if the ground will be kind, but still we plant. Still we hope. Still we say yes. Thank you so much for saying yes this morning to that call. And may it be so. May it be so. Amen.
And the earth was round. It is round.